How often do you need an easy breakfast for Christmas morning? We've got the perfect one here. We're going to put together a Monte Cristo Breakfast Casserole. It's going to be delicious. Jump on in and make it with me. Hi, I'm Mary Catherine, and welcome to my table. I'm so glad you're here. What we do here at this channel is we just put together some really delicious recipes. They're going to be easy things to follow. We go through step-by-step instructions. So no matter what your level of cooking or baking is, you can do these recipes. So I love that because I know you can do it too. And today we're going to put together a delicious Monte Cristo breakfast casserole. This is a little bit different. It's kind of a unique breakfast casserole, but I love it because you're going to get a little bit sweet, a little bit savory. If you've ever had a Monte Cristo sandwich, you know how delicious they can be. It's probably not something you eat every day, though. They're just for special occasions. But what we have here is going to take all of the elements of a Monte Cristo sandwich, and we're going to turn it into this casserole. Here we have our ingredients sitting out, and we're basically just going to be putting together sandwiches with our bread, our ham and cheese, and we're going to put some good sweet and savory things on the sandwich. And then we're going to make a mixture with our eggs and our milk and a little bit of seasonings. And then we're going to pour that over our sandwiches in the casserole dish. And then we'll top it the traditional way with a little bit of powdered sugar. That's what I have in here. And we will have a delicious breakfast. So let's get going. Now, I'm just using a traditional sourdough bread for this today. You could even use something else. If you had like an orange cranberry bread, that would make a delicious casserole as well. But I'm just going to go the simple route and use kind of a traditional sourdough. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of lay several pieces of bread down. Let's see, that's going to give us, we're probably going to make about 6 sandwiches out of this loaf today. I'm going to take some red raspberry jam, or this is red raspberry preserves, and I'm going to put this on each of these slices of bread. Now, you don't have to use the red raspberry. If you have another kind of jam that you have handy or that you prefer, you could do that. You could use strawberry. You could use an orange marmalade. You could use just a variety of things. But the point is we just want to get a little bit of sweetness with this on each of these slices of bread. So I'm just going to take enough out of the jar to just spread it all the way across. I need a little bit more on these. Okay, let's see if we have enough now to cover each slice of bread. Yes, we do. That's about perfect. Okay. So we're just going to spread this all the way across all 6 of these slices. Let's go ahead and layer it with our ham. And what I have here is just some thinly shaved slices of ham. I have about 16 ounces here. We will see how much we end up having to use. We want a good hearty amount of ham on each. I'm going to start with 3 slices and see how that looks. These are very thin. I might go back and add 1 or 2 more because you really want to get that taste of the ham in there. That's what the Monte Cristo is all about. And it gives us that savoriness that we want to give us the good contrast in this dish. Okay, I think I will go back and use just 1 more piece of ham on each. That should just about use up what we have out for our 16 ounces. I have actually never made this before, but Darren loves Monte Cristo sandwiches. You know, there aren't too many places where you can get them, but every once in a while, so we had 1 piece left, didn't we? I'm just going to split it up between a couple of sandwiches. There we go. But every once in a while, when we go to a restaurant that has it, he'll get one of those sandwiches, and I have to have a bite. It's so delicious. So this is not something I've ever made, but I saw this recipe, and I thought, oh, I think I have to make this. I'm pretty sure it's going to be delicious. We'll try it today, and I'll let you know. Full disclosure, it is my first time making this. Okay, now we're going to go back in with just 1 slice of Swiss cheese, and that's the traditional cheese that would be on a Monte Cristo. You know, if you had a different cheese in your refrigerator and wanted to use it, that would be fine. I'm sure it would work too. But traditional would be the ham and the cheese, the Swiss cheese, for these sandwiches. Okay, now that we have those layers done, we're going to go back and take our other pieces of bread to top them with, and we're going to come in with some honey mustard on this slice of bread. And I'm just going to squirt a little bit on each one. About like that. And I'm going to go ahead and use my knife to spread it out. And the recipe said not to skimp on this part, that this really gives it a good flavor. So I'm going to go back with a little bit more. See how that looks. Yeah, I think that's probably more like what we want. So pretty good helping of that honey mustard. And then we're just going to top the sandwich. And then we got our last three. There we go. And the final one. Perfect. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these in little triangles, and I'm going to get my dish that we're going to put them in. I'm going to bring that over. And I am going to spray my dish first. Now, because this bread is a little bit wider, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice it in half like this, lengthwise. And then we're going to come back in and we're just going to kind of create little triangles. Let me show you. Just kind of something like that, about 4 triangles per half of the sandwich. And we just want to stick them where some points are standing up for our sandwiches. Let's see, do I want to go that way or the other way? I don't know. I'll figure it out as we go. And the recipe did also say you're going to have to kind of smush them all in here. It's going to be a very full casserole dish. You know, one thing I think with this recipe, you could do this for Christmas breakfast. And then you just really need to put some fruit with it. And you've got your whole meal together. If you wanted to do other things, you could. But you could keep it really simple. And you just get a little sweet and savory with this. Put it with some good fresh fruit. And there you go. We are just going to wedge them in there. Okay, I don't know. What do you think? Can we get it all in here? It's going to be tight. And if you have to get another dish out and put a few pieces in, that's okay. And I think we're going to try and make this one work. This is a 9x13 dish. And it doesn't have to look super pretty at this point because it's all going to bake together. We're going to put a couple things over it that will just make it all work fine, even though it's not going to be all lined up perfectly because we're just kind of tucking them in as we can. Okay. Now I'm going to take 8 eggs and I'm going to put them in our dish here and we're going to add a little milk to it. So let's do that. All right, there we go, 8 eggs. Okay, and at this point, I'm going to go ahead and whisk them a little bit before we add the other things to it. All right, that's good. Now we're going to take 1 3/4 cups of milk, and we're just going to add that into our eggs. And then we do want a little bit of seasoning in this as well. So I'm going to use about a teaspoon of kosher salt. I've got some kosher salt here. Okay. It's not quite a teaspoon, but I think that'll be fine because we're going to have some saltiness from the ham and the cheese in this as well. And then we're going to use some black pepper. You can do this to taste. I'm probably only going to do about 1/4 of a teaspoon. If you don't want it, eliminate it. All right, now let's give that another good mix. And what we're going to do now is just pour this directly over our sandwiches in the dish. All right, there we go. Then the final ingredient that I'm going to put on it at this point is some Gruyere cheese. And I've already got this shredded. What I bought was a 6-ounce package of Gruyere. And I'm not sure if I'll use all of this or not. It's a little bit more than the recipe calls for. I think it calls for 4 ounces. So we may just reserve some of this to use in another dish. We're already going to have cheese on the individual little sandwich pieces. So I feel like we don't need a ton of it on the top. I think I will stop. That's probably close to 4 ounces there. And one of the best things about this dish that I haven't even mentioned yet, this is one of those breakfast casseroles that you can make ahead of time. So that is great, especially on a day like Christmas, because you can make this up to 2 days ahead of time, keep it in your fridge, or you can just make it the night before. It's called an overnight casserole. So you can make it the night before or up to 2 days ahead, and then you just bake it on Christmas morning when you're ready to eat it. So when the whole family is getting up, wanting breakfast, the kids are wanting to open presents, you want to be able to be present there with them. And you can be, because you are not slaving away in the kitchen. You have this all ready and just pop it in the oven. And it can bake while everybody starts opening presents or whatever the tradition is at your house. So I love that about this casserole. We're just going to cover it up and I'm going to put it in the fridge. You can simply do it for a few hours, or you can do it overnight or up to 2 days, like I said. So I'm going to cover it and then we're going to come back and bake it later. It's been a few hours that our casserole has been in the fridge, but I'm going to go ahead and bake it now. I'm just going to uncover it, and I already have my oven preheated to 350 degrees, and it's going to go in the oven for about 30 to 40 minutes. We'll check it then, but I think it's going to be ready. Oh boy, this kitchen smells delicious. And this turned out beautiful. Let me let you see it. This is what it looks like. I took it out of the oven at 35 minutes. So it baked for 35 minutes, and it seems like it's going to be just perfect. I've let it sit here for about 10 minutes. You want to do that first. And then we're going to add our little final touch. If you've ever had a Monte Cristo, you know that it has powdered sugar that's on top of it. And so we're going to just cover this with a light coating of the powdered sugar as well. All right, there we go. I can't wait to taste this. Now it's our favorite time in this kitchen. It is taste test time. Let's get a little piece. I think you could use a spoon for this, but I'm going to use this little spatula. It kind of cuts through it, and then it's going to serve it up too. So there we go. You can see the elements of our sandwiches that we put together there. So now I'm going to put a little dollop of some jams on my plate too. Now traditionally you would serve it with just the red raspberry jam, and that's what we put on the sandwich as well. So I'm going to put a little bit of that here. But I'm also going to use, I have a hot pepper raspberry jam that we love this. Sometimes we'll do this on top of cream cheese with crackers as an appetizer when people come over. Now, it does have a little bit of a kick to it, so you don't want to get too much of this. Or if you love the heat, then get a lot. But anyway, I'm going to try 2 bites, one with each of these, and tell you which one I think I like better. Let's try to get all the elements of our sandwich. I've got some ham there. And there's cheese. I'm going to try this one with the traditional raspberry jam. Just get a little bit of it on the fork there. That is so good. That's really good. And it tastes so much like a Monte Cristo. But if you notice, there's nothing fried about this. If you've had a Monte Cristo, you know that they dip that sandwich in batter and they deep fry it. There's nothing fried about this, but yet you get all those same flavors. So it's got to be a little bit healthier, don't you think? Okay, let's try it with the hot pepper raspberry. Okay, I'm not going to get too much of that one. Got a little bit on there. Okay. That's really good too. That's really good too. And I love that jam. But honestly, I almost think I like it with just the plain red raspberry better. I think you get a more of a punch of that raspberry taste, the sweetness. So you have the contrast of the sweet and the salty. So that's really good. I will say, after digging into it a little bit, it probably could have stayed in the oven just a few more minutes. It's practically baked, but you could have gone maybe 3 or 4 more minutes, maybe 5 minutes. And of course, every oven bakes differently. So if you need to cook it a little bit longer in yours, then do that. But it is delicious. This would make a wonderful breakfast for Christmas morning. And the nice thing is, you get to enjoy Christmas morning too, because you already did the work ahead of time. That's our overnight Monte Cristo breakfast casserole. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I know I sure have. Even though this was a brand new recipe for me today, I'm so glad we tried it. I knew that with all the elements in it, it should be delicious, and it sure was. So I hope you'll give it a try, maybe for Christmas breakfast, or maybe another day that you need a special breakfast for your family. But anyway, thanks so much for joining me today at Mary Catherine's table. I'm glad you were here. And remember to go out today and find someone who needs a little bit of kindness and give them some of yours.